Okay, good day everyone. So now our topic will be about head injury. Okay, now let's first define what is head injury. So this refers to all types of injury to the head or to the brain. Okay, so si head injury, this is our general or our umbrella term for all types of injury to the brain or to the head, ranging from possibly merong gasgas sa scalp to actually damage to the brain or damage to the skull. Okay, so yan si head injury. That's our umbrella term or our general term for all types of injury to the head. Okay, now what are the common causes of head injury? The primary cause or most common cause of head injury is actually falls. Mga taong nahuhulog or nababagok at tumatama ang kanilang ulo. Number 2, we have motor vehicular accidents. Okay? Those people na nadidisgrasya, nagkakabanggaan. Okay? Motor vehicular accidents. Next, being struck by an object or tinatamaan ng gamit. For example, na isang tao, naglalakad siya sa isang, let's say, sports field or an athletic field at hindi sinasadya na merong naglalaro ng baseball, for example, in that field at accidentally, kay hindi na-control yung pagtama ng bola at tumama dun sa ulo ng walker. Okay, so that is an example of being struck by an object. What else? Pwedeng naglalakad lang yung isang tao and then accidentally merong nalaglag or nahulog na gamit from above them at tumama sa ulo nila. Okay, so that is an example of being struck by an object. Tinamaan ng gamit. And then, last, we have your assault or violence. Okay? So, si number 3 kasi, accidentally. Hindi sinasadya na nag-cause ng damage or injury doon sa tao. As opposed to your assault or violence, this is a deliberate, sinadya. Okay? And there is an intent or intention to cause harm to another person. Okay? So, those are the different common causes of head injury. Now, head injury is actually classified into two. Okay, we have primary injury and secondary injury. So, what is primary injury versus secondary injury? When you say primary injury, this is immediately or instantly upon trauma. Okay? Instantly or immediately upon trauma. Ibig sabihin, yung injury, nag-o-occur agad siya or lumalabas agad siya upon trauma. What are examples of this? Pwedeng laceration or hiwa. What else? Bleeding. What else? Fractures. Okay? These are examples of primary injury. Kasi pagka na-trauma, yung ulo ng isang tao, agad-agad silang nagmamanifest or agad-agad silang lumalabas. That is primary injury. Direct manifestation instantly upon trauma. For example, yung example natin kanina, tinamaan siya ng baseball. Okay? So, agad-agad, pwedeng magka-fracture, pwedeng magdugo. Okay, so that is primary injury. Immediately or instantly upon trauma. Agad-agad. Now, we have secondary injury. Secondary injury is most likely, tawag dito, consequence siya ng primary injury. Okay, pwedeng si secondary is nagkaroon ng secondary injury dahil sa primary injury. So, what is secondary injury? Secondary injury is actually the decrease of oxygen and glucose supply to the brain. Okay? Si secondary injury naman is kapag nagkakaroon na ng decreased or deprivation of oxygen or glucose supply to the brain. Okay? And take note everyone, glucose, okay, majority of the body's glucose is used actually by the brain. According to Brunner and Sudarts, about 80% of the body's glucose is actually used by the brain. Kaya for example, if meron sa inyo yung hindi nagbe-breakfast at agad-agad during first period pa lang, kaunting information pa lang yung sinishare ng instructor ninyo, inaantok na, that is possibly because your brain is lacking food, which is glucose. So when you say secondary injury, nangyayari ito kapag there is already decreased oxygen or glucose supply to the brain. So what are examples of causes? Okay, so number 1, pwedeng bleeding or ruptured blood vessels. Okay, bleeding or ruptured blood vessels. So for example, kapag merong pumutok na blood vessel, of course, we all know that these blood vessels, okay, primarily your cerebral arteries, sila ang nagdadala ng oxygen sa ulo or sa brain natin. So for example, eto si brain tissue, eto normally, kaya ang ating blood vessel. But if in case it ruptures, in case na masira siya, yung supposedly dugo na pupunta sa brain tissue, pwedeng mag-leak na lang siya palabas. Okay? At hindi na siya dun mismo sa brain tissue pupunta. Kaya nagkakaroon ng deprivation of oxygen and glucose. Okay, take note, you have your CSF and your blood. Okay, so si blood kasi, siya ang nagsusupply ng brain natin with nutrients, with oxygen. Okay, and then you have your CSF, which also helps in that transport of those nutrients, of those oxygen, and of course, to cushion the brain, and of course, for the removal of wastes. Okay, so sila yung nagsusupply at nagtatanggal ng waste sa brain natin. So, for example, nito is bleeding or ruptured blood vessel. Okay, so pag bleeding kasi, okay, ano pa? Sorry. Okay, you have increased ICP. Actually, si bleeding, guys, is related siya to increased ICP because bleeding can cause increased ICP. Ano ba si ICP? When you say ICP, this refers to your intracranial pressure. So when you say intra, this means inside, and then cranial is your skull. So ibig sabihin, this refers to the pressure inside of the skull. Now, ICP, okay, nagkakaiba-iba kasi yung kanyang normal measurement. For other books, it's 8 to 10. For other books, it's 7 to 15. For other books, it's 7 to 18. Okay, so paiba-iba siya. So, and dun sa iba pa, it's 2 to 10. Okay, so as long as it does not exceed 20. Okay, as long as it does not exceed 20. Kasi pag over 20 ang ICP, that is already dangerous. Okay, so ang unit of measurement natin for ICP is millimeters mercury. Okay, so pag tumataas ang ICP natin, tumataas yung pressure sa loob ng skull, possible na maipit yung blood vessels natin or maipit yung mismong brain tissue. Kaya hindi siya nabibigyan or hindi nasusupply ng oxygen or ng glucose yung mismong brain tissue. Now, the problem is, sabi natin, cells that do not get oxygen supply can lead to cell injury. Pwede magkaroon ng injury ng cells natin na yan. And if it becomes long enough, pag masyadong matagal yung deprivation nila ng oxygen or nutrients, it can cause cell death. Okay, so that is your secondary injury. So, primary injury, agad-agad. Upon trauma or upon injury, naandyan na yung manifestations. But when you say secondary injury, this is a consequence of decreased oxygen and decreased glucose supply to the brain. Now, in relationship to your ICP, let's talk about the Monro-Kelly hypothesis. Your Monro-Kelly hypothesis actually explains ICP. So, Monro-Kelly hypothesis puts emphasis on 3 components. Okay, 3 components that are located inside of the skull. Okay, at ang tatlong components na to, they are the ones that create or make up cranial, intracranial pressure. Okay, so what are these 3 components? Number 1, you have the brain tissue, yung mismong tissue ng utak, mismong utak. Okay, next you have blood, and then lastly, you have CSF. Okay, so according to Monro-Kelly hypothesis, etong tatlong to, they are in an equilibrium. They are constant. Yung volume nila, constant lang siya. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya nag-iiba. Or kung meron mang pagkakaiba, minimal lang. Okay, so these 3, okay, make up the intracranial pressure. And they are supposedly at an equilibrium. Dapat, meron silang mine-maintain na pressure. Okay? At ngayon, according to your Monro-Kelly hypothesis, when one of these 3 increases, okay, the other 2 must decrease, okay, to maintain that balance, to maintain that equilibrium between the 3 of them. Okay, for example, if there is bleeding, okay, pag sobra-sobra yung blood sa loob ng skull, because remember, is your skull rigid or flexible? The skull is a rigid structure. Ibig sabihin, matigas yan. Hindi siya mag-e-expand to accommodate the changes in any of these three. Constant yung skull natin. Matigas siya. Hindi yan mag-e-expand. So, sinong mag-a-adjust? Itong tatlong components. Now, if one of them increases, the other two must decrease para ma-maintain yung sinasabi nating constant. Pag sinabi mo kasing constant, yun na yun. Okay? That's the same. Similar siya through and through. That is ibig sabihin ng constant. So, halimbawa, pag masyadong mataas or masyadong maraming blood or if there is bleeding inside of the skull, si brain tissue at si CSF or your cerebrospinal fluid, di-decrease sila or bababa silang dalawa. Si brain tissue, ma'am, what do you mean bababa si brain tissue? Kukonti po ba or mag-shrink po ba ang brain? Okay, sa Monro-Kelly hypothesis, actually, no. Okay, so for example, this is a person. And this is their skull. For example, this is the brain tissue. Sabihin na lang natin, this is the brain tissue and this is the brain stem. Now, for example, there is excessive bleeding. Okay, merong bleeding dito sa loob ng ating skull. Now, like I said, your skull is rigid. Hindi yan mag-a-adjust. So now, what will happen to the brain? Hindi po yan liliit. Ang mangyayari dyan, it will be pushed aside. Mag-shift po siya, okay? Gigilid or matutulak yung brain because of that blood. Ngayon, ang masama dyan, okay, or the worst case scenario there is if the tissue or the brain tissue shifts downward. Ang tawag natin dyan, brain herniation. Okay? Once the brain tissue slides downward or gets pushed downward. And, okay, ang delikado dyan, we have your brainstem compression. Pwede niyang maipit or makompress si brainstem. Now, take note, your brainstem holds a critical role, okay, in a person's life. Because your brainstem, take note, this controls your vital signs. Yung ating respiratory rate, yung ating, pulse rate, temperature, even your cough and your sneeze reflex are controlled by the brainstem. So, delikado, okay? Take note everyone, a minimal or a minor damage to the brainstem is more lethal or more dangerous than a major damage in the cerebrum. Okay, itong malaking brain tissue natin, mas delikado ang injury sa brainstem because that controls your vital signs, the vital functions of your body. Okay, delikado. Pag nagkaroon tayo ng brain herniation, natutulak yung brain tissue natin pababa at pwedeng maipit si brain stem. Okay, kaya kapag naipit na ang brain stem natin, nagkakaroon ng abnormality sa ating vital signs and even sa pupil. So, if there is increased ICP, pag tumataas si ICP, dahil nga tumataas itong component sa loob, okay, pag tumataas yung laman sa loob, tataas din ang ating ICP. Now, in your increased ICP, this is already a late sign. Si brain herniation at brainstem compression. Ibig sabihin yan, sobrang sikip na sa loob ng skull to the point na natutulak na palikod yung brain tissue. So, we have here what we call your Cushing's triad. Okay, Cushing's triad. Okay, your Cushing's triad is manifested by number 1, widening or widened pulse pressure. What is pulse pressure again? This is the difference between the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. For example, 120/80 in a normal person. Pag minus mo yan, the pulse pressure is 40. Okay, so widened pulse pressure, okay, decreased pulse rate, okay, mabagal ang pulse rate nila. And then lastly, they have abnormal respirations. Okay? Or yung tinatawag nating Cheyne-Stokes respirations. Ibig sabihin, di ba normally, sa isang tao, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Sa abnormal respirations dito, walang tamang rhythm yung kanilang respirations. Okay? Pwede silang sobrang lalim ng respirations nila at sobrang bilis. Okay? So, this is your Cushing's triad. So, along with that, pwedeng magkaroon si patient, okay, ng dilated pupils. Okay? Pag naka-dilate yung dalawang pupils niya or sometimes dilation of only one of the two pupils. Okay? pwedeng one of the two pupils, okay? Or dilation of one pupil, or sometimes constriction of both the pupils, okay? Basta nagkakaroon ng abnormality sa pupils. What else? Pwede silang magkaroon ng abnormal posturing. Ano yung dalawang abnormal posturing natin? We have your decorticate and decerebrate. So when you say decorticate, this is abnormal flexion. Abnormal flexion. C and C for C and C. Okay, si patient naka-decorticate. Okay, si patient naka-decorticate. This is for decorticate, C and C for decorticate. And then next we have your decerebrate. E and E for decerebrate. Si patient, meron siyang abnormal extension. Ulitin natin yung drawing natin kay decerebrate. Okay, C and C for... Okay. So, this is your decerebrate. Si patient, decorticate is abnormal flexion. And then, you have your decerebrate for abnormal extension. Ibig sabihin nito, naiipit na ang brainstem ng isang patient. Okay? So, these are the abnormal manifestations of brainstem compression caused by brain herniation due to increased ICP. So, naintindihan ba natin? Okay? For example naman, merong swelling. Okay, pwede rin siyang cause ng secondary injury. For example, si brain tissue naman ang nagsuswell. Yung brain tissue lumalaki, swollen siya. So, anong mangyayari? Si blood naman at si CSF ang bababa. So, there will be decreased blood and decreased CSF into the brain. Ang problema dyan, if there is decreased blood supply into the brain, that will worsen the edema or the brain swelling. Bakit? Decreased blood supply, again, to your cells will cause cell injury. And cell injury can cause swelling. So, cycle siya. Okay? Tataas ang ICP, magsiswell ang brain, kulang ang blood, maglalo siyang magsiswell kasi nga, lalala ang cell injury. Okay? So, that is increased ICP. Okay, according to your Monro-Kelly hypothesis, what again are the three components? You have the brain tissue, blood, and CSF. And according to Monro-Kelly hypothesis, if one of these three components increase, the other two must decrease to maintain their constant volume. Okay, so that is your Monro-Kelly hypothesis. Okay, now, what are the different types of head injury? Apart kay classification natin si primary at si secondary injury. Now, let's talk about scalp injury. When you say scalp injury, okay, alam naman siguro ninyo kung ano ang inyong scalp. Anit, okay, this is the skin that covers your skull. So when you say scalp injury, this is actually classified as a minor injury. Minor injury lang siya. So what are the forms or what are examples of scalp injury? Number one, it can come as a form of laceration. What is laceration? Hiwa. Okay, laceration. What else? Pwedeng abrasion. Abrasion, gas-gas. Okay, laceration, hiwa, abrasion, gas-gas, and avulsion. Avulsion of tissue, kapag tissue ang pinag-uusapan natin dyan, tuklap. Okay, there is a portion of the tissue that is torn away. Now, the problem with scalp injury is, ang blood vessels kasi sa scalp, they have poor vasoconstriction. Okay, diba? Vasoconstriction is a mechanism of our body to prevent or to stop bleeding. Okay, pinapaconstrict niya or pinapasikip niya ang blood vessels to decrease yung blood flow. Okay, para kumonte or tumigil yung bleeding. Now, the problem with blood vessels in the scalp is they have poor vasoconstriction. So, the problem there is, if your blood vessels have poor vasoconstriction, pwede siyang mag-lead into profuse bleeding. So, you can notice, kahit minimal lang yung injury sa skull, kahit gas-gas lang siya, kaunting hiwa, okay, magdurugo at magdurugo siya. So, they are at risk for profuse bleeding. Now, for scalp injury, ang management natin dito, of course, you have to assess your patient's LOC, i-check natin kung malala ba talaga yung bleeding niya, and usually, this is sutured, tinatahi. Okay? So, that is scalp injury. Yun lang siya. It's considered a minor injury. Pwedeng laceration, abrasion, and avulsion. Ang problema dyan is bleeding. Okay, now, next we have your skull fracture. Okay, ano naman ngayon si skull fracture? Skull fracture refers to a breakage, okay, of the bone, or a breakage in the continuity of the bone. May basag or may bitak ang bone. Okay, skull fracture. So your skull fracture is actually classified into different types. Number 1, according to the type of breakage. Ano ba yung klase ng basag or ng fracture na nasustain? So we have first, number 1, linear. When you say linear, line, okay? Ano ba ang base word natin? Line. So, this follows a line. Not necessarily naman na paganyan. Pwedeng paganto siya, okay? Basta, it follows a line. Linear. Okay, next, you have your comminuted. Okay, you have your comminuted. What do you mean by comminuted? It is fragmented. Okay, fragmented or durog. Okay, durog. You have fragmented or okay, it is fragmented or durog. Okay, so what is the next type of breakage? So pag sinabi nating linear, it follows a line. Okay, next you have comminuted kapag fragmented or durog. And then lastly, you have depressed fracture. Pag depressed, hindi po malungkot. Okay? Hindi malungkot ang bungo ninyo. So, anong nangyari po dito, there is a downward movement of the skull. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin yan, lumubog. Okay? So, you have linear kapag it follows a line, comminuted, pag durog, depressed kapag downward or lumubog. Ang delikado dito sa comminuted at depressed, pwedeng yung mga fragments na yan, pwede silang pumasok sa brain tissue or pwede nilang matusok ang brain tissue. Okay, next, what else? Depending on the location. Okay, location, depende lang naman yan kung saan sa brain natin. So, we have frontal. Saan ba ang frontal? Dito sa may part ng noo. Okay, sa harap. Next, you have pwedeng temporal. Temporal is dyan sa area near your ears. Okay, sa gilid ng ulo. Next, you have parietal or sa ibabaw ng ulo. Pwedeng occipital or sa likod ng ulo. And then, we also have your basilar or sa base ng ulo. Okay, so for example, ito yung bungo. Diba ganito ang shape ng bungo natin? Okay, sorry na lang. Okay, now, we have to take note of basilar fracture. Si basilar fracture kasi, meron tayong tinatawag na Battle's sign. Okay, Battle's sign. When you say Battle's sign, malapit siya sa batok. Okay, battle for batok. Malapit siya sa batok. Okay, this is where there is an ecchymosis or hematoma in the mastoid process. Okay, so nasaan ba ang mastoid process? If you touch the bone right behind your ear, so for example, ito yung ulo ng pasyente or ng tao, ito yung tenga, if you see a bruising, okay, bruising over this region, okay, sa may mastoid process natin, yan yung tinatawag nating Battle's sign, okay? And your Battle's sign is a manifestation of basilar fracture, okay? Dito sa base ng skull, dito sa may likod, okay? So, Battle's sign for malapit sa batok, okay? So, this is a hematoma or bleeding na nakikita natin in the mastoid process. So, that is basilar fracture. Okay, so you have type of breakage, you have linear, comminuted, and depressed. Location, you have frontal, temporal, parietal, and occipital or basilar. What else? Fracture can either be classified as open or closed fracture. Okay, so when you say open fracture, let's first talk about the different layers of your head. Okay, malamang mag-start tayo kay scalp, yung anit, the skin that covers your head. And then of course, you have your skull, the bone, and then we have your meninges. When you say meninges, these are the protective coverings of your brain and spinal cord. Siya yung cover. Okay, siya yung cover ng brain natin at ng spinal cord na nagpro-protect sa kanya. Now, your meninges have 3 layers. You have DAP. Okay, DAP ang layer natin. And then, the brain tissue. Okay, brain tissue. DAP for your dura mater. A for your arachnoid matter, and P for your pia matter. So you have scalp, skull, DAP, and then brain tissue. So when you say open fracture, ibig sabihin, there is an opening. Okay, malamang may bukas. Okay, there is a hole or there is an opening either of the skull or the dura mater. Kasi si dura mater, yan ang pinaka-first layer ng ating meninges, okay? Ang difference lang niya, pag close, of course, there is no opening of the skull or the dura mater, okay? So those are the different classifications of skull fracture. Now, when it comes to skull fracture, if your patient complains of persistent localized pain, ibig sabihin, merong specific na area sa ulo ng isang pasyente na tuloy-tuloy ang sakit. And if they suffered through these, okay, pag nag-suffer sila sa mga to, at ng pasyente mo nag-complain ng persistent localized pain, that usually indicates fracture. That usually indicates fracture. Okay? And when it comes to your fracture, apart from battle sign, pwede rin silang magkaroon ng CSF leakage. Okay? Pwedeng mag-leak ang CSF or lumabas sa nervous system ang CSF. Okay? Paano natin malalaman na nagli-leak ang CSF? So if there is a passage of clear fluid, okay? Pag merong passage ng clear fluid from the ears or the nose. Pag sa ears, ang tawag natin dyan, you have your otorrhea. Otorrhea for the ears. And then for the nose, you have rhinorrhea. Okay, otorrhea and rhinorrhea. Okay, so if your patient suffered from head injury or your patient, meron silang problema sa brain, okay, that is, yes, head injury, and suddenly may nakita kayong passage of clear fluid from their ears or their nose, you have to suspect otorrhea or rhinorrhea. You have to suspect for CSF leakage. Anong gagawin dyan? Kukuha ng sample, and this will be tested for what we call the halo sign. Ano ang itsura ng halo sign? So for example, ito yung ating pinaglagyan ng specimen. Ito yung tinatawag nating halo sign. Okay, pag tinignan natin yung gauze pad na pinaglagyan ng fluid na yan, if nakita ninyo itong circular, okay, circular na image doon sa pad, okay, at naghiwalay yung blood at yung CSF, that is a positive halo sign. Ibig sabihin, that is CSF. Okay? Because si blood natin at si CSF, hindi sila basta-basta nagmimix yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na blood-CSF barrier. Okay, meron lang particular substances na pwedeng lumabas galing kay blood papunta kay CSF. Okay, so this is your positive halo sign. Okay, report to the physician. That is CSF leakage. Okay, so that's for your skull fracture. So meron pa. Next, we have your traumatic brain injury or craniocerebral trauma. Okay, traumatic brain injury or craniocerebral trauma. So this is a form of head injury, okay, that interferes with patients' activities of daily living. Traumatic brain injury, okay, pag nagkaroon ng trauma sa utak, okay, or your craniocerebral trauma, that interferes with the patient's activities of daily living. Kung ano yung mga basic function nila ay nagkakaroon ng interference or nagkakaroon ng problema. Okay, so your traumatic brain injury could either be blunt or penetrating. Okay, now what is the difference between blunt and penetrating trauma? Okay, when you say blunt, there is an injury. Okay, there is an injury to the body without entry of an object. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ng injury sa particular part ng katawan nang walang pumapasok, okay, na gamit or object or substance into the body. There is no opening. That is blunt trauma. For example, sasabihin na lang natin, nagiinuman. Okay? Nagiinuman at biglang nagkainitan, yung mga nagiinuman na yan. Ngayon yung isa, sa galit niya, gusto niyang saksakin. For example, gusto niyang saksakin yung kainuman niya. Ngayon, dahil sa sobrang lasing niya, imbes na yung blade, okay, ang naisaksak niya sa ulo ng kaaway niya, Yung handle. Okay, yung handle ang naipokpok niya doon sa ulo. Okay, so nagkaroon ba ng opening? Pumasok ba yung kutsilyo? Hindi. Okay, so that is blunt injury. Okay? Now, as opposed to your penetrating injury, of course, there is an entry of an object and there is an opening. Balikan natin yung situation. For example naman ulit, yung lasing, galit na galit siya, nagkainitan sila. Goal niya, saksakin yung kainuman. Ngayon, hindi na yung handle ang naipukpok niya sa ulo ng kaaway. Yun ng mismong blade. So, there is an entry of an object or there is an opening. Okay, doon sa area of injury. So, that is blunt versus penetrating injury. Okay? So, syempre, yung mga manifestations niyan, similar lang ulit dito. Okay? Dito sa mga to. Kasi, connected man sila sa isa't isa. Okay? Next, you have your contusion versus concussion. Contusion versus concussion. Okay, so anong difference naman nilang dalawa? Contusion versus concussion. Okay, ano lang, guess lang, which do you think between these two is there is a damage to the brain or there is an injury to the brain? Is it contusion or concussion? Wait lang. Dito pala siya sa gilid. Okay, merong injury to the brain. Is it contusion or concussion? It's your contusion. Okay, si concussion, wala siyang injury to the brain. Okay, now let's first talk about contusion. Si contusion, ito yung kapag talagang T for contusion, T for tinamaan. Okay? Excuse me. So, dito, may tama yung brain ng patient. Okay? So, that is contusion. So, what are the manifestations of contusion? Pwede silang magkaroon ng decreased level of consciousness or minsan loss of consciousness. What else? Pwede silang magkaroon ng stutter, nauutal-utal, hindi sila makapag-provide ng direct sentences. And then, lastly, you have stupor. Stupor is actually a form of decreased consciousness. So, when you say stupor, okay, these are people who are difficult to be aroused. Mahirap silang gisingin or mahirap makakuha ng response from them. Okay? Sa external stimuli. Magre-respond lang sila sa extreme stimuli. Like what? Kapag loud noise. Hindi pwedeng normal na boses. Kailangan sisigaw ka para ma-stimulate sila. That is stupor. Okay? It is a form of decreased consciousness wherein a patient is difficult to arouse. Magigising lang sila kapag G na G ang ating stimuli. So, that is stupor. And for contusion, okay, the manifestations peak at about 18 to 36 hours. Okay, yan ang peak ng manifestations ng contusion. So, si concussion, okay, there is temporary neurological deficit but without injury to the brain. Okay, merong temporary neurological deficit na magre-resolve din siya. Pwedeng nahilo sila or sumakit ang ulo or pwedeng mag-decrease ang consciousness nila, but it's temporary and it will resolve and there is no injury to the brain. Okay, and then lastly, we have your intracranial hemorrhage. When you say intracranial hemorrhage, there is bleeding inside of the skull. Ngayon, babalikan natin yung layers ng ating ulo. And this is where we will discuss intracranial hemorrhage. Okay, sa loob ng skull, malamang dito na siya. So, when the bleeding is above the dura mater, that is epidural hemorrhage. When it is under the dura mater, that is subdural hemorrhage. When the bleeding is under the arachnoid mater, that's subarachnoid hemorrhage. At syempre, ano na ba ang nasa ilalim ng pia mater natin? Si brain tissue. So that is already intracerebral hemorrhage. Okay? Take note, among your three meninges, si dura, si arachnoid, at si pia ang pinaka-vascularized. Ibig sabihin na andyan ang blood vessels. Okay? So, delikado ang bleeding. So, you have epidural, pag above the dura mater, subdural, subarachnoid, and intracerebral. Okay, so those are the types of intracerebral hemorrhage. Okay, now, let's proceed to the different diagnostic procedures for head injury. Okay, ang ginagamit natin na diagnostic procedure if emergency, if kailangan natin ng mabilisang imaging, that is your CT scan. Okay, CT scan muna. Kasi, yan ang immediate. Okay, mabilis kasi, quick lang ang CT scan. So, pwede siyang gamitin for emergency situations like head injury. Now, what type of diagnostic procedure or imaging do we use if you want a more detailed image? Okay, more detailed image of the brain. You have MRI. Okay, so ito yung mga common natin na diagnostic procedure. And then after that, we have your assessment of levels of consciousness. Ano ulit kayong ginagamit natin to assess a patient's level of consciousness? What is the standard that we use again? We have your Glasgow Coma Scale or your GCS. Okay, now the question is, what is the highest score that you can get in GCS? It is 15. And what is the lowest score that you can get in GCS? That is 3. Wala pong 0 sa GCS. Okay? Pag sagot mo 0, magmuni-muni ka na. Okay? Now, what are the different components in your GCS? You have your EVM. Ay. You have your EVM. Okay? I, verbal, and motor. Okay, now let's give them their respective scores. So you have EVM, ang GCS natin, we have your acronym EVM 456. Okay, yan na yun. EVM 456. So 4 for eyes, 5 for verbal, and 6 for motor. Now, what are the different, okay, ano yung iba't iba nating components or aspects that are to be assessed? First, let's start with the eye. Okay? A score of 4 means spontaneous. Ibig sabihin, when you say spontaneous, the patient opens their eyes spontaneously. Hindi kailangang utusan, hindi kailangan ng stimuli. They open their eyes on their own. Okay, that is spontaneous. No need to instruct them. Okay, they open their eyes on their own. That is spontaneous. Next 3, to voice, ay to sound, or to command. Okay? Pag may narinig silang boses or pag sinabihan mo sila, okay, good morning ma'am, gising po ba kayo? Okay, pag binuksan nilang mata nila, that's 3. 2, if to pain. Pag bigay or introduce tayo ng slight pain, sila ay nagbubukas ng mata, that is a score of 2. And then no response is 1. Okay, so that is for your eye. Okay, next you have verbal. Verbal, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 5 for oriented. When you say oriented, pag tinanong mo sila, tama yung sagot nila. For example, good morning ma'am, ano pong full name ninyo? Juan de la Cruz. Juana de la Cruz. Ilang taon na po kayo? 56. Taga saan po kayo? Taga Manila. Okay, that is 5, oriented. Next, you have confused. When you say confused, yung sagot ng pasyente, related pa rin naman siya dun sa tanong mo. Yun nga lang, medyo lumilihis siya. But in a way, there is still connection doon sa tanong mo. Medyo nalito lang ang pasyente. Okay, for example, ma'am, good morning. Ano pong full name nila? Santa Maria Isabela. Pangalan pa rin naman. Hindi nga lang niya pangalan. Okay, ma'am, ilang taon na po kayo? 1988. Numbers pa rin yung binigay niya. But, hindi niya nasagot kung ano talaga yung age niya. That is confused. Okay? Or minsan, nasasagot nila ng tama. Pero, mali yung sagot. For, ano raw? Okay, for example, ma'am, nasaan ka po ngayon? Sagot niya, nasa bahay. Ang sagot niya, lugar pa rin naman. Location pa rin yung sagot niya. Mali nga lang yung location. Tama yung thought, mali yung content. Okay? Ma'am, ilang taon na po kayo? 26. Kahit na 60 years old na siya. Confused. Okay? Ma'am, sino po ang kasama ninyo? Sasabihin niya, ay ma'am, asawa ko po. Pero ang totoo, kasama niya ay kapatid niya. Okay, so that is confused. Next, you have inappropriate words. Ito na, walang koneksyon yung sinasagot ng pasyente sa tinatanong mo. That is inappropriate words. And then you have incomprehensible sounds. Okay, incomprehensible sounds. Ito na lang yung mga moaning, groaning, mga ganyan. That is incomprehensible sounds. For example, ma'am, good morning, ma'am. Gising po ba kayo? Ganun lang siya. Ma'am, pwede po ba ninyong banggitin ang inyong full name? That's incomprehensible sounds. And then one, you have a no response. And then next, you have your motor. Motor refers to movement. So you have 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you say 6, obeys command. Okay? Ma'am, kaya po ba ninyong itaas ang kanang kamay? Pag tinaas niya yan, that is 6. Okay? Obeys command. Next, localizes pain. Okay? For example, nagbigay ka ng command, hindi niya sinunod. Now, your next step is to introduce a painful stimuli. For example lang ha. For example, kinurot mo slightly yung kanyang kamay at biglang aray, ganun siya. Tapos hinawakan niya or tinignan niya yung kinurot mo. That is localizes pain because they are identifying the area of pain. Okay, kung saan yung masakit. Because you have 4 withdraws from pain. When you say withdraws from pain, inaalis nila yung body part nila na nasaktan. Okay, for example, kinurot mo siya sa kamay at tinanggal niya or iniwas niya yung kamay niya, that is withdraws from pain. And then, si 3 at si 2, eto na yung abnormal posturing natin. Ano ulit yung abnormal posturing natin? You have decorticate and decerebrate. As you can see, sobrang baba ng score nila sa GCS because that is already a late stage. Okay, late stage na si decorticate at si decerebrate. Okay, so that's it for your GCS. Now, for management, okay, primary management talaga for head injury, especially if there's bleeding, if there are fractures, okay, surgery talaga. Okay, you have craniotomy. Craniotomy is there will be a creation of an opening in the skull. Okay, bubuksan yung skull to evacuate blood, to evacuate other contents, okay? And then you have the debridement or debridement. Okay, when you say debridement, it is the removal, okay, of substances that are not needed doon sa area. Okay, pwedeng shards of bone, okay, pwedeng dead tissues or necrotic tissues, tatanggalin sila. That's debridement. And then for patients with mannitol, what is our primary na medication na binibigay sa kanila? You have mannitol. Okay, mannitol. This is a form of diuretic, pampaihi. Okay? To help the patient reduce ICP. Ngayon, bakit kaya mannitol lang binibigay na drug? Because your mannitol has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. Ibig sabihin, from the blood, kaya niyang pumasok sa CSF or sa brain. Kaya mannitol lang binibigay. Okay? So, for patients that are on mannitol, hindi to IV bolus. Okay? Usually, this is given 100cc na side drip. Okay? Side drip ito, mannitol. Okay? And then, when you're giving mannitol, you have to monitor your patients' intake, output, and of course, their BP or their vital signs. Okay? For patients taking mannitol. And then, ang management kasi natin dito, guys, it depends on the patient's manifestations. Usually, if they have injuries na mga ganyan, you have to always, if your patient sustained these types of injuries, yung falls, motor vehicular accidents, yung mga nabanggit natin kanina, you have to automatically assume that they also have spine injury or particularly cervical spine injury. Okay? For example, may nakita kayo na aksidente sa kalsada. Automatically, i-assume natin that they have spinal cord injury. And your emergency management for that is immobilization or stabilization. Dapat hindi naggagalaw yung area. Okay? That is spinal cord injury. Now, for patients with increased ICP, ano dapat ang position nila? Okay, bawal sila sa supine at bawal sila sa high fowlers. They should only be low to semi-fowlers ang position nila. Okay, hindi pwedeng supine, syempre hindi pwedeng Trendelenburg lalo, at hindi pwedeng high fowlers. Okay, pwedeng mag-worsen ang kanilang ICP. Bawal sa kanila ang lifting, magbuhat. Bawal sa kanila ang Valsalva maneuver or yung umiire, nag-exert ng effort, okay? That is Valsalva maneuver. So we have to prevent constipation kasi nga bawal silang umire. Okay? For these patients, we have to be cautious when it comes to administering medications like what? Laxative. Okay, hindi recommended ang laxative. Bakit? Si laxative, pwede siyang mag-cause ng abdominal cramping. Okay, baka pwede pang lalong tumaas ang ICP ng patient. So, usually, stool softeners. Okay, better ang stool softeners compared to laxatives. Okay? And of course, you have to continuously monitor their vital signs. And these patients usually need ventilatory support. Okay, ventilatory support, especially if they are suspected to have cervical spine injury. But anyway, meron namang separate discussion for spinal cord injury. Okay, they need ventilatory support. What else? Ang manifestations kasi ng head injury, everyone, it also depends on which area of the brain is injured. Kung saang parte ng katawan isang parte ng brain ang injured. For example, frontal lobe. Ano ba ang function ng frontal lobe natin? Unang-una, nandito si ating Broca speech area. Broca speech area is for speaking, okay? Expressive, pananalita. Okay? Pag tinamaan yan, possible na magkaroon sila ng problems with speech. Okay, ano pang ibang functions ng frontal lobe natin? Logical thinking, decision making. Okay, so pwedeng magka-problema. For example naman, occipital. Ano bang function ni occipital? For visual inputs. Pag tinamaan siya, pwedeng magkaroon ng problem with visual inputs. Okay, what else? These patients, okay, they are usually nasa bed lang sila, bedridden. Hindi tumatayo ang mga yan. So, there are possible complications like what? DVT, deep vein thrombosis, na pwedeng mag-lead to pulmonary embolism. Okay, yung nagkakaroon ng blood clot sa may deep vein sa paa. At pag yan na-dislodge, pwedeng mag-travel sa circulation, pwedeng bumara sa lungs. Okay, pulmonary embolism. What else? They are at risk for developing pressure ulcers. Okay, mga ulceration sa balat. What else? They are at risk for developing pneumonia. Okay, dahil nga due to immobilization. Okay, so these are the things that you have to watch out for patients na bedridden. Okay? What else? Ano pa bang ibang management natin dito? Of course, pwede rin silang bigyan ng corticosteroids depending on the injury. If they have inflammation, pwede silang bigyan ng corticosteroids. And of course, we also have to watch out for meningitis, especially if your patient has CSF leakage. Kasi ibig sabihin yan, merong pathway for entry ng microorganism. So, they are at risk for meningitis. So, these are the things that you have to watch out for. Okay? So, you have for nursing responsibilities, you have to make sure they have good ventilatory support, good skincare. Okay? They are having positional changes. Except if they have a spinal cord injury, meron specialized na rotating bed para sa mga yan. Or, if there is doctor's order para change of position. And of course, monitor intake output, vital signs, immobilization, and for patients with decreased LOC, of course, you have to prioritize their safety. Okay, and I think that's it for head injury.